Hey everybody, welcome back to my workshop and welcome to episode 2 of Operation Ariel. It's been a while since I last worked on the car and I've done some small things off camera, so let me start off by giving you an update. Well, as you may expect from any Toyota from the 1990s, this Starlet has been utterly reliable. It just starts and it goes, and as long as there is fuel in the tank, the car drives. It's completely problem-free. It doesn't consume any oil or any other fluids. It runs great. I drive the car on a daily basis, and since I have the bike rack with the car, I pick up the kids and bring them to school a lot in the evening times when it's dark this time of year. I pick them up from school, put the bikes on the back, and we go home, and they're home within 15 minutes instead of an hour and a half on a bicycle. I put new windscreen wipers on. I rotated the tires on the right hand side. Front right was a bit worn, so rear and front were changed. I ordered new CV joints, but haven't had time to put that in, so that's something for a later episode. I also ordered a small LCD gauge cluster I want to put in that reads the oil and water temperature and oil pressure, but that's also something for a future episode. Yeah, and other than that, I had no problems with the car. Fuel consumption is 15 kilometers per liter, so that's pretty good, especially since this car has an automatic 3-speed. It consumes a little bit more fuel. And I also almost killed the car because I had flushed the the heater core. The heater core is a bit clogged, and it's a known issue for these cars, and to take the heater core out you have to take the entire dashboard out. There's no way around that, but I thought, hey, I can give it a try and flush the heater core, so I put tap water on the outlet and I could see some muck coming out from the inlet, so it did something. But when I reconnected it I then damaged one of the pipes one of the pipes from the heater core, the one going into the heater core. And after I flushed the system, I went for a drive, and I noticed that my temperature gauge all of a sudden went to full hot, and I thought, well, I may have knocked off the sensor wire and it's now shorting to ground. But in fact, the engine indeed was running hot, and it spilled out a lot of coolant because there was a small damage, a dent in that pipe. I ran some errands. I didn't make a long drive, but when I got home, half of the coolant was gone, so I was afraid I may have had damaged the cylinder head. But we're now 2 weeks later, and I've done 1,000 kilometers. I refilled the system and bled it again, and it seems we made an escape from that without any engine damage. Oh yeah, and I was involved in an accident, and that's the reason why I'm filming this episode. Let's head over to the car. So this week I was driving home, and it was raining and it was dark, and all of a sudden there was a car coming from the left, and I had a little fender bender. And there's a sharp fold in here. I can pull this back, but yeah, that's the situation as is. So it was a minor fender bender, and there were no casualties, and as you can see, I'm alive and well. We didn't see any need to call the police, so the other driver, she apologized and she said, well, I can pay for your damages, no problem. So we agreed I would get a new part and she would pay for it. And I estimated it would cost me between 50 and 150 euros. So the next day I picked up this, a rust and dent-free replacement panel. As you can see, it's the wrong color, but the panel was the wrong color anyway. So that cost me 50 euros, and the lady paid for it, and now we're all good. So I have a fun new project, and well, I needed to paint the panel anyway. So yeah, no harm, no foul, I would say. So that'll be the goal for this episode, to get this panel in the right color and get it put on the car. So let's get started. So I put it on my temporary workbench, and I found this sanding disc. This used to be a metal working shop, and they left a lot of stuff behind. Amongst this is a 240 grit piece of sandpaper. So I think I'll just take off the clear coat and give it a primer coat, red oxide primer, and then we can blast everything in color. I have, let me show you. This rattle can came with the Starlet and it's color matched, and this is the rattle can they use to paint the entire right hand side of the car. But I think there's plenty in it, and if there isn't, I have all coats so I can have it remade, and I think I need a couple of these during this project, but I want to try to use this can and get this in color. So and it's a good thing I'm doing this by hand, because you can see on this edge here it's so easy to burn through all paint layers and get to bare metal, and there's absolutely no need to take off that much. Now you can see, let me show you up close. This is where the blemish is, and now I'm through the clear coat. There's only this scratch over here, but now this is blended in, so that means I'm through the clear coat here, and this is evened out now. Now I have the majority of the clear coat off. It's nice and even now. Of course there are a lot of scratch marks now. Now I want to do this inside edges you see when you open the door, and I'm gonna use some Scotch-Brite for that, because paint on here is very thin and it's easy to burn through, and I have no need to do that or repaint this entire thing or to strip the entire thing. So I'm gonna get some Scotch-Brite, scuff up this area and the inside you see when you open the engine bay. Now my next step is to degrease it. I'm using just ordinary brake cleaner to do that. I'm gonna spray it, wipe it off, make this as clean as possible. All of the areas, all of the surfaces that need to be painted will be degreased. Then I get a lint remover, and then I'll apply the first coat of primer. Just a clean cloth and wipe it down. This is the same sticky cloth that I used for the Lexus. Oh, and also I switched to a grey primer because I think this works better with the body color of the car, to see if I have plenty of coverage. If you apply a darker color, take a light primer. When you apply a light color on a car, you take a dark primer. So that's the first coat on. I had to take off my respirator because my glasses were fogging up. I'm gonna get some fresh air in here, wait 5 minutes, and then apply another thin coat. We're a couple of days later and the white primer coating has dried. There is some orange peel here and there, but I also noticed there were some small blemishes in the paint I needed to sand out, and there were some scratch marks I filled in with a filler over here and over there, and there was a little bend over here. There still is a little bend. I gave it a smack with a body working hammer and the paint cracked and it started to peel off. But anyway, now those are filled in. What I'm going to do next is to wet sand the entire panel once more and then give it a coating with a better primer, because I think I'll burn through most of the white filler this primer. It's so easy to sand off, and this should adhere better. Maybe I should have started with this in the first place, but I'm not doing everything all over again. So let's start with the wet sanding. Well, the second coat of primer is on, which in fact is the third coat. Looks nice and evenly I'm going to check for defects. There's a small hair in there, too bad, but this coat is on much nicer than the white primer, so I can highly recommend this grey primer. So I found a way to mount this vertically on my small workbench. I have it degreased, I have it wet sanded, and you can see some sand marks, but I think it will be covered by the body color. I'm gonna take off the sticky cloth over here. I'm gonna start heating up the paint. Let me put the camera down a little bit. Over there is my heat gun, and that's the rattle can with the paint. I put it in a cardboard box and I let the heat gun run for a minute. And while I'm wiping it off with a sticky cloth, I let the paint heat up, and then I'll give it a once over with the heat gun. I mean the panel, give that a once over with the heat gun so it's nice up to temperature, and then I should be ready for painting. Okay, I think I have to call it quits here, because the way the paint comes out in those thick droplets, it really sputters the paint on, and it's almost like a hammerite finish. It looks terrible. So yeah, I'm gonna call it quits. I will have to let this dry, wet sand it again, and then start over with a new can of paint. I also preheated the rattle can. It's 5 degrees Celsius over here right now, and I preheated the panel so things are up to operating temperature, so to speak. Well, it's the following day, and it appears that all my orange peel has gone, so I'm very happy with that. Only thing I noticed, there's not enough coverage over here. It looks a bit white over here, and also on this corner, so it needs another coat of paint. Yeah, I had planned to go clear coat it right now, but I'm very happy with the way it dried. All the orange peel is gone, so what I'm going to do now is break out the other rattle can and give it a final coat and make sure there's plenty of coverage, because over here, this edge over here and in front, I'll show you in a minute, is where it needs a little more coverage. I'm not sure how well this shows on camera, and on this front edge here, over there, there's just not enough coverage, and some spots over there. So I'm going to wipe it down once more with a tacky cloth and then give it a final coat of paint. Well folks, welcome to my little shed in our backyard. This is not the panel that I've been painting. This obviously is the right hand side of the Starlet's front panel, but I decided to paint this too while I was busy. The car wasn't in use this week because it's still school holidays. It was a bit cold, actually too cold to paint, so I used my electric heater to heat the panel and the paint, and I tried my best. And the reason why it's on my bench in my little workshop is that I treated the inside with this hollow section wax to prevent rust. All these areas that catch a lot of mud and water, even though the fender liner is in here. I did the same on the left hand side fender. That is already on, but I didn't film it because it was rainy and drizzly. And now I need to get this on today because it will be freezing tonight and it will be freezing for a while. So I'll put you up on a tripod and I'll film the installation process and show you where this is attached to the car and how it's attached to the car. Now for the finishing touch, the small plastic trim piece goes on. I already put new double-sided tape on there. And there we are. Well folks, this is the end result. It's far from perfect, but it's perfect from far. This right hand side panel needs a little bit of work, but I want to have the clear coat completely cured, and then I have to wet sand it and polish it. And also the finish around this corner isn't too perfect, and I noticed when I was in the car wash just a minute ago that this headlight aim was off, and as you can see it's completely loose. Have to check into that, and also not sure if the camera picks this up. It says Depot, so this already is an aftermarket brand, and I hope that the guy that sold me this panel has a good headlight. So this is the side that was involved in the fender bender. Yeah, in real life you can see that the color is a little bit off. Maybe it shows on here, not sure, but again, far from perfect, but perfect from far. Now at least the Starlet has one uniform color, and I'm really happy with that. So there she is. Could argue that this side is almost done. I want to peel off this old striping. It's deteriorating, and I bought a special some rubber flapper wheel to get it off. But when I have this side polished, I can say this side is done, and the other side still has this rattle can paint. There's no clear coat on there, and as you can see they painted over the striping, but that's something for later when the weather and the temperatures are better to go paint the car. So anyway, I'm happy with the end result. Slowly but surely we're getting there. Well folks, it's starting to rain again. It doesn't look a single bit like winter, but weather forecast says winter should be coming. We shouldn't have frost this night and then for a longer period of time, and it makes me happy that I have this done before frost comes, since I have to work outdoors nowadays. Maybe there's one small task replacing the right hand side headlight, but I'll let you know in a short. I'm glad I got this done, and I'm glad with the color matching. Like I said, it isn't perfect when you look up close, but I want to have the paint and the clear coat completely cured before I start wet sanding it, and that will be when the weather is better and a bit warmer outdoors. Anyway, I hope you liked following me along. If you did, please let me know. Subscribe to the channel, leave a comment if you have any questions or constructive feedback, and if you want to help support the channel, you can do so by buying me a coffee. I leave the link for that down below in the description box. And for now, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!